Well, hello, Maverick traders. Welcome out to your Maverick Currencies RBNZ rate statement. Corey here with you, and we're going to take a good look at the RBNZ, kind of what the expectations are, and what some possible trades are as well. I've got some ideas. We certainly have looked at Japanese yen has kind of been in focus lately. Not necessarily against the Kiwi. That one wasn't our favorite, but tonight, we're going to focus on the Kiwi and see how it stacks up versus other currencies. So let's come in and build some expectations. First, what does the market expect? Well, they expect a 50 basis point hike, right? They expect to go from 2.5 to 3. And so that sets the benchmark. 0.5, 50 basis points is the expectation. And that's been priced into this point, right? That's not really going to catch anyone off guard. Are the markets going to skyrocket because, does the Kiwi rally sharply because they're raising rates? Well, it's going to be more about guidance and maybe if there's some sort of surprise, right? If they come out and hike by 75 basis points or if they only hike by 25. I would think 50 is a given. I mean, I don't expect them to hike by less. I've been surprised before, but I would be quite surprised by that. I think it's 50 or higher. So if there is the potential for some sort of surprise, I suppose it would be more likely in that direction. So let's make sense of this by looking at Kiwi and kind of looking at some potential trades. Let me pull up some charts here. So this is pound yen. We've highlighted this as a bearish trade. Things to short against the yen, which I think the pound, I think in the midweek we talked about pound and CAD and US dollar versus the yen, but not really the Kiwi. But let's go through some Kiwi pairs and kind of see how that stacks up. So if we look at the Kiwi versus the yen and just start there, like I said, this one isn't as much of a short or a long or anything. I mean, it's kind of just range bound. It's kind of in that sideways range where, I mean, I don't know necessarily what to make of that other than to just kind of say, well, it could go either way. It could go to the top end of the range. It could go to the bottom end of the range. Nobody really has control over this asset right now. So it's a little bit of a guesstimate, and I think we can do better, in other words. So am I going to be trading? I've liked shorting things against the yen, and frankly, some of them have been working. I mentioned this that when I first tried it, which was 2 weeks ago, I had a stop out trade, so it didn't work. But lately, it's been working nicely since last week's midweek, and we said, I'm going to give it another shot because I still think it was the right trade. But I don't really like yen versus the Kiwi necessarily. I don't know that those two match up better. So we got to think about the Kiwi. What do we want to do with it? Do we want to be long or short? And it probably depends on the currency, and it probably depends on the market's reaction. But let's go find something together that makes a little bit more sense. And I wanted to start there because I know a lot of you are trading or at least watching the yen pairs more closely because that was kind of a point of emphasis for us. So let's go through the other Kiwi pairings. Let me bring this. Well, we can do it a couple of ways, I suppose. I was going to bring this over to the screen, but maybe that's not the best way to do it. Let's bring that to this screen and let's just click through. So I'll start, let's go Euro Kiwi. So Euro Kiwi, in terms of the trend and whatnot, this one makes a little more sense. Again, Euro has been weak, right? It's a weaker currency. We know that has been in the news. I mean, Euro USD traded to parity as an example, traded to 1. So the Euro has been weak for some time. And on the daily chart, I mean, certainly still supports that. We're in a downtrend, recent new lows. So we could come back to Euro on the short side, I think, versus Kiwi. If we look at pound, same thing, a little bit of a weaker chart overall. You even have some old levels of support that broke. See how many times it bounced off of that, and then there's the breakdown, and look at where we're at. Okay, so we could short pound against the Kiwi as well. That one, excuse me, that one might be my favorite. We'll come back to that. But just looking at big picture items here first. Aussie versus the Kiwi. Here I would go a little bit, I don't know that I'd be in favor of one versus the other, but in terms of things that are holding up relatively well, certainly Aussie versus the Kiwi, you could kind of make sense of this as an ascending triangle. The lows have been climbing, the highs have now stalled out, right? That's what an ascending triangle is you basically get stalled out on the top end, but the lows keep climbing. So I'm going to give Aussie the benefit of the doubt slightly versus the Kiwi. Kiwi versus the US dollar. Again, if we want to buy the Kiwi, this one could make sense versus USD. Here was the breakout point. Here's the retest. That one I'd put with the pound. Those are a couple of the favorites. Let's keep looking here. Kiwi versus Swiss Franc. Now, if we wanted to be short Kiwi, I think this can make sense. Okay, we at least are in a downtrend, and the Kiwi's not in a downtrend versus most things. A little bit against the Aussie and a little bit against the Swiss Franc. And then last but not least, Kiwi versus the CAD. And this was kind of back to that US dollar, British pound chart. Looks very similar. Prior breakout point is what we're retesting right here, right now. So the way I see it is as follows. You could buy the Kiwi versus the CAD. So you could play, this is a long. We would buy that pair. That's playing the Kiwi to the upside. We could buy Kiwi versus the USD. Again, we would buy that pairing. And we could short pound versus Kiwi, which once again would be playing the Kiwi to the upside. That's the important part. So if we're going to play the Kiwi more bullishly, those are potential candidates. All right. Well, what if we're going to play the Kiwi to the downside? Then I think we could buy Aussie Kiwi, right? And that would be playing, so we would buy that pair. That would be playing Kiwi to the downside. Or we could short Kiwi versus the Swiss Franc. And once again, that would be playing the Kiwi to the downside. So in my estimation, that's kind of where I'm at on this, is kind of looking at it as, oh, sorry, I have this mislabeled, but I'm stating it correctly, right? That would be a long. So we would buy that pair, which would still, well, what am I talking about here? Now I'm confused. No, we were going to short pound Kiwi. Okay, we're not long. We're gonna short that. So I had it right. Now you confused me on that one, but I think we want to short pound Kiwi, right? We would short it, which would be playing the pound down and the Kiwi to the upside. So we had it right the first time. All right, so let's take a look. If we come into a little bit shorter time periods, let's come in, let's start with the 4 hour. Okay, do we short that? Well, a little bit too much strength. Euro Kiwi, better. So if we were looking at this from the standpoint of different pairings, here's Aussie, that doesn't look so good versus the Kiwi for a long. Kiwi, buying it against the US dollar, that doesn't look so good. Shorting it against the Swiss franc, that one looks better. So, on these pairings, I think Kiwi, Swiss franc holds up better on the short side. just kind of looking at these charts and saying, okay, which one makes sense? And then pound, Kiwi, yeah, that one didn't. What was it? Euro, Kiwi, that one does. So remember, we were talking about Euro, Kiwi on the short side. Okay, we come into the 4 hour, it's still in that downward trend. So I like short Euro, Kiwi, and that would be playing Kiwi up, and shorting Kiwi Swiss franc would be playing Kiwi down. So to me, those are kind of the charts. It's the European currencies, you know, the Swiss franc, the euro. Those are the two that kind of hold up with the trend. We know we've got the daily chart support. We already looked at that. Now we've narrowed it down to a 4 hour, and those hold up. The others are kind of in the opposite trends, right? The opposite. And so if you look at it from the standpoint of, I want the next longer time frame from what I'm trading to support it, well, it does. And then I'm betting that we could probably even narrow it down further if we wanted to, but I don't know that we necessarily do. Actually, on those, Kiwi Swiss franc looks the very best. So we're coming in right now, and you can get your short position ready. You know, you can say, okay, I would just want to build an order here. I want to have a position ready to short Kiwi Swiss franc. I'm going to do that on my other screen here. I'm going to build a trade to short Euro Kiwi and to short Kiwi Swiss franc. Have it ready to execute so that as soon as, you know, I want to trigger, and our stop losses, just to give you kind of some insight here, in Swiss franc pair, we're probably going to risk 20 pips or something. In Euro Kiwi, we would probably risk more like 40 to 50 if we trade that one. So just to be aware. I'm going to come into a little bit shorter time frame, and let's check this out. This is a 5-minute chart, and what I'm looking for here is an energy burst. We're coming right on the hour when the news should come out, and we're about 30 seconds away. So yeah, for me, I would just have orders ready to short Euro Kiwi or to short Kiwi Swiss franc, and then we're going to be watching the reaction. How does the Kiwi trade? Right now, it's a lot of choppiness, you can see, coming into this. I don't think the news has been released yet, but you can see there's some violence and volatility. Now remember, Euro Kiwi moves a lot, so this one should be more volatile. Let's see, so we're getting a reaction here. You see how it flashed downward? That is Euro going down, that's Kiwi going up. So you'd kind of think, well, they raised, and by how much? The Kiwi is strong. That's what's happening, is the Kiwi is stronger. So this is kind of the chart that's triggering, is Euro Kiwi. So now we got to look at this and kind of say, okay, do we want to take an action on this? And I'm okay with it. Let's think about this in terms of actionable opportunities, and I think we're looking in the right spot. Our stop loss, by the way, if we trigger into this, is going to be probably up above that high at 160.73. So I would rather get short a little higher here like this, you know, in that 160. And I think we can take an action right here. So I'm going to go ahead and short it here in the 160.20. And go ahead and trigger, and we're just going to get short right here. Let's see here. So got short just below 160.20, but that's fine. I'm going to put my stop. So like I said, we're probably going to risk 40 to 50 pips in this pairing. I've got my stop just above the high. So that high in Euro Kiwi is at 160.73, and I just have mine at 160.74. So I'm risking about 51 pips. No, that's not right. I'm risking 160.74 minus 160.19. So that should be 55 pips, pardon me. So I'm risking 55 pips. Remember this pair, each pip is worth a little less because it's a higher price point, right? When you have lower price currency pairs, each pip has a little bit more bang for your buck, right? This one's a little higher price point. Each pip is worth a little less in dollar values, but that's okay. We'll have a little bit bigger pip risk, but still very reasonable on the dollar front. So yeah, we're short euro against the Kiwi and just frankly expecting a downside push. Now, don't get too excited. We're up about 10 pips right now. Nothing too exciting as of yet. I think we can trade this towards this low. Now, I don't know, you'd have to look at this. Maybe you want to take some profits off along the way. Maybe you want to tighten up the stop loss. I'm going to be doing things like that, but this is my initial thoughts, is that we're trading down there to about 159. Now at 159, you're talking about from 160.19, that's 119 pips. So that's kind of in the realm of what I think is very, very possible. I don't know if it's highly probable, but very possible. And right now we're up about, 30 pips or so. So we're already progressing towards, equal. We've almost made as many pips as our risk, actually. We're right around that number. So you could already be looking at kind of tightening up stops, or if you wanted to take profits on half, you could do that here, and I don't think that's a bad idea to maybe take profits on half of this right here in the 159, 80-ish range, 159.70 or so. We could go ahead and take profits. I haven't triggered it yet, but I am preparing to do so. Probably closer, to 159.70 or even a little below that is probably where I would take some profits off. I think you could take them just above 159.50 would maybe be, take half of your gain off and put some of that profit in your pocket and then see where the rest goes. But I like the trade. So far, so good. We're up, 30, 40 pips, and we'll see how this progresses. But that's Euro Kiwi on the short side. We were hunting in the right place. We saw the reaction, had some good energy. So far, so good. Well, we'll leave it there. I don't think there's more to say about this. Hope you've enjoyed the RBNZ rate statement. Manage this trade. At this point, it shouldn't turn into a loser. At this point, I think you can basically break even or make a nice profit. If you take profits on half right around here and then move your stop loss down, you've got a profitable trade and such. Manage it to at least break even, worst case scenario. Thanks again, everyone. Have a good night. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.